Alright everyone, we just added a text shadow, so now I'm going to show you how to add a box shadow. Alright, so it's like a shadow that's in your on your images or behind your images. So I'm just going to search box shadow generator, okay, and I can probably go to the same website that I just used, which was cssgenerator.org. A lot of those were fine, but this one's a good one. So you're just going to, again, use the sliders here. You can see the box shadow is the shadow that's behind the picture right there. So I am going to have kind of a bigger blur radius so that it doesn't show up as much. I don't want it to be very crisp, but you can change the way that you want this. Okay, and I might change mine again to dark blue because maybe that will look better on my page. Okay. That and then I can change how opaque it is. Okay, and when you're finished with that, you can just kind of grab this one on the very top. You can copy it right there. In fact, you might want to just copy the whole thing right there. So copied, and then in your images, find where you've styled out your images in your CSS, and you can just add that piece of code there. And then when that's done, you just refresh it. What you will see is, well, I don't love that blue, but I could go back and change it if I wanted to. What you'll see is a little shadow right there. So if I were to do this again, I might actually make the blur radius. I might actually make it a little crisper and make the blue kind of show up a little bit more. Maybe I'd want like kind of a black one, a gray one like that. Okay, and then again, you would just copy this if you ever wanted to change it, and then you would just paste over what you had. Like that, and this might be a little bit more subtle. Yeah. So it makes the images kind of show up off the page a little bit more. Mine does, I actually might make a little bit crisper because the textured background that I used might not make it look as, might not make it pop as much, but that's how you would do a box shadow. Now you can also do something called a border radius, and a border radius kind of rounds the edges of your image. So you can also search border radius generator. This is another website, cs3gen.com. Whoops. Right, if I scroll down. And you could make them all the same. So this is just 5 pixels, or you can pull the sliders in to make them all kind of a little bit different. So if you want a kind of a teardrop shape right here, you can actually put the values in yourself too to make them the same on diagonals. Okay, and once you have that, this is the piece of code that you need. It's a little bit bigger when you've changed all of them. This will just say top left, top left. Having this much CSS is because it has to work on different browsers, so it's specifying the browser it can work on. So you can just take that whole thing right there and go to your images and add the border radius into your images. Okay, and when you're done, that can just work like that. Okay, you can also just kind of do it easily if you didn't want to add that. You can just say border dash radius, and then you can specify just like 5px like that, and that will put the same border radius all along the edges, right? So you have these tiny little bit of rounding that you can see on the edges. Let me push it up a little bit so you can see a little more. So you can see like the edges aren't really 90 degrees, they round on the edges of the images. So that's a way you can just style out the image a little bit more by adding a little shadow in the background and making the edges more round. All right, so that was border radius, and it was box shadow.